This is just reinforcing your brand. It's another way to keep your brand top of mind for your customers in a very easy, convenient way for them because you're just landing in their email. Are you a product-based business, maybe handmade or importing? I do both. I'm spending my own cash advertising on Facebook and Instagram to help grow my 2 Shopify stores from scratch that I started in 2020. So join me in this diary type podcast where I share real-time challenges and wins as things happen day to day in real time, because we often feel less alone in our e-commerce journey when sharing the challenges with someone else. If you're just starting out or growing your small online business, I think you'll find my experiences motivational as I share from my kitchen table in Adelaide, Australia. Brought to you by one of my e-commerce shops, theturtlejournal.com.au. Hey, welcome to Aussie E-commerce Mum. My name is Rachel. This is episode number 30. I want to speak today about emails and email subject lines. So this episode is an email subject line audit that I've done, and I want to share today a specific email subject lines and my top 10 have got me the most revenue in the last couple of years. I'd encourage you to go listen to my previous episode, episode 13, where I talk all about emails and why it contributed so much to my revenue in the last couple of years. That episode was all about automated emails, so email flows I had set up. You set them up once and then you leave them to run. And when I went back to look at them, I was really surprised to see the several thousands of dollars in revenue that those emails had generated just by sitting there in the background. So I haven't done an episode yet on campaigns, which is this episode. There'll be heaps more episodes to come on email because I'm a firm believer that they are a huge revenue driver. They definitely have been. That's been proven to me in the last 12 months for sure. I was probably a bit skeptical before that. And this episode will totally demonstrate how worthwhile sending emails are and sending them regularly, and that the subject lines probably don't actually matter that much. My top 10 email subject lines over all time, 2 websites over all time since late 2020, were not particularly inspirational or clever. They were pretty straightforward. So I'd encourage you to just send more emails maybe than what you currently are. Perhaps you already send some and you've got a bit of a schedule in place, in which case I hope you've got a way of tracking the revenue that comes through those. But if you're a bit of a skeptic about email marketing and think it's probably a waste of time and nobody buys on email anymore, I'll just tell you that's so not the case. People absolutely buy from emails, and I've got my top 10 revenue driving ones to share today. But if you go back and listen to episode 13, if you're a bit skeptical to see why it's even worth your time, you might find it really surprising that it could totally be worth you setting it up from scratch too, like from a brand new business with a very small or non-existent email list, because it is scalable. It just grows over time. You'll have a conversion rate with your emails that builds over time. So if your conversion rate is 3% of your list purchase or something like that, then it's just a matter of, maths until your list is big enough that 3% becomes a sale. So I'd encourage you to start if you haven't yet, because it's definitely worth it. And it's hard to know sometimes with emails, if you do send emails or you'd like to, I do get stuck with the subject headings. I know it's pretty common. I see a lot of stuff on social media about, downloading someone's free guide on email subject headings and things like that, because we get a bit of a creative block and we're sort of, it can be hard to know what to say. It's a bit like social media in that way sometimes, I find. So maybe choose an angle you want to go with depending on your brand and what suits your brand voice. Maybe you want to be direct or funny or clever or salesy or super friendly or casual. So you could try out different things to see. Like I said, mine, when I had a look, I was surprised. There was no huge revelation in my email subject lines as far as the tone of voice for them and which were the most popular revenue wise. They were pretty just direct and straightforward actually. My top ones were not ambiguous. They weren't particularly clever or intriguing really. They were pretty direct. So that was good to know, because that's way easier to write on the fly than trying to think of something clever or a bit more ambiguous, I think. So if you're not sure where to go with your brand voice, with your emails, just start off being direct, because you probably have just as much success as if you tried to be super clever. I had a look at all my emails. I've sent about 220 since late 2020. That's across 2 websites. So out of 220 emails, like I said, these are my campaigns. So they're not my automated email flows. That's a whole separate section. These are just the campaigns that I actively set up and I actively send. Out of 220 emails from 2 websites, these are my top 10 subject lines. I'm going to put these in a document too. These will be in a PDF. They'll be on my website, so you'll be able to download them for yourself if you want some examples. It's tricky to listen to, understand on podcasts and really understand exactly what you want to say or to use an example, so I'll put them in a document too. So let's start. These are in no particular order either, but on the whole, from the top 10 emails I sent, the smallest revenue from one of the emails I sent was about $185 at the lowest end. The highest end in revenue that came in was over $600 from one email too. Remember, these are individual emails. This is not hard work. This is really not hard work. It's like one email. It took me 5 minutes to put together. It took 5 minutes because it was a duplicate of a previous email. So I'll go into that a little bit later. So literally 5 minutes. It was over $600. And the lowest in my examples here was about $180. On average, I think most of these were hovering around $250 per email. So let's start. So number one, these are the actual examples. And like I said, you won't be you won't be floored or like really impressed with how simple these are, which is great because it means they're simple for all of us. And it's probably a really untapped area of e-commerce that you could totally dive into more because your competitors probably are not. Number one, the type of email I sent was a new product launch. The exact subject heading was, it had an emoji at the front. I use emojis in all my emails. It's the first character is always an emoji. So it was a star emoji. And then it was called new product hyphen we have, and then the product name. That's it. New product, we have new, and then the actual name of the product. I also used a preview text. On my examples here, it looks like I used preview text on all but one of my emails, but I wouldn't draw any conclusions from that because I use preview texts on pretty well all my emails anyway. So I haven't done any sort of testing between preview text or not preview text. The preview text was with a Christmas bonus. So I would change out the word Christmas for whatever season it happens to be. So if you're launching a new product, then you could use your preview text with an Easter bonus, with a back to school bonus. So mine was with a Christmas bonus. Email number 2 was also a new product launch. Now, these new product launch emails featuring here is sort of not, I wouldn't draw the conclusion either that you should be launching new products all the time. I'm actually a firm believer in the opposite of that, which I will do an episode about at some point. But these websites are new, remember too. This is my email subjects lines from when I started these 2 websites. So the product line was small because they were brand new. And one of my websites, the product line is still small. It's only about 11 or 12 products. Whereas the Turtle Journal, which is a sponsor of this podcast, has probably 40 or something like that. So I do have product launches have obviously featured fairly prominently in starting up a brand new brand. So number 2 was also a new product launch email, and the email was again a little star emoji, new product hyphen the name of the product, almost identical to the previous email basically. Just said new product and then hyphen and the actual name of the product. The preview text said handmade and exclusive to the brand, whatever your product or your business name is, sorry. Number 3, this type of email was a sale email. So it started off again with a little emoji, and then the text was Black Friday early access hyphen and your website address. And the preview text was on sale now, all bold with an exclamation mark at the end. So Black Friday early access hyphen and then your name of your business. And the preview text was on sale now. That was my 3rd top. The 4th one was very similar. It was another sale email. Again, it was a little star emoji, and it was Black Friday early access with hyphen and the business name, so identical to the one before. And I didn't do any preview text on that, and I think that's probably just because I couldn't be bothered because it was Black Friday. Lots was going on, and I just thought, preview text, never mind, leave it blank. So those 2 were basically identical email subject lines. and they both had really high revenue. One of those was my $620 something email. And they've both featured in my top 10. So I'll have a few comments about that in a minute about what I think about Black Friday. So there you go. That was my two out of the 10 emails were Black Friday related. Number 5, we're up to number 5. This type of email, I would call a stock update or an inventory update email. So it started off with a little emoji again, and the text was simply back in stock, ! The preview text was the name of the product. So whatever the name of the product that had just come back into stock, I put that in as the preview text. So that was my 5th, not my 5th top because these are in no particular order, but it's just an inventory update type email, something that's back in stock or limited stock. You could do something like, small quantity or selling out quick, only a few left. That sort of, it's a bit of an urgency type email. But I did back in stock because I had run out and had a few emails from customers asking when this product was going to come back in stock. But just the product name was the preview text, and the subject line was just an emoji and then just back in stock, ! That's it, really simple. Number 6 was a social or a blog post type email. So again, started with an emoji, and this one was called Mermaid Inspired from, and then I put the website. The preview text was join the conversation. This was an email I sent from a popular social media post. So I had just noticed that one particular social media post was just doing better than the others. And I don't mean viral or anything like that, because I have no idea how that works anyway. No, certainly no social media superstar by any stretch of the imagination. But I just noticed there was one social media post that had got a lot of comments, a lot of interaction, loves and shares and likes over a few months. It was a little while. And I just noticed often in my notifications, someone else has liked that post from a couple of months ago. So I thought I'd turn it into an email. And I literally just linked to the social post and asked people to comment. It was already doing well. People seemed to like it. My customers seemed to like it and connect with it. So I just thought I'd make it into an email. So I just put the same image in the email and then a link to the actual post, inviting to go and join the conversation online. So that featured in my top 10. It's nothing related to the product or sales at all, just building that sort of community feel and asking people to interact and let us know what they think about the brand. And that featured as one of my top 10. So that was really cool. And that's something you can do pretty easy, I'm sure, is just to pull one of your popular blog posts or popular social media posts and turn it into an email. Number 7 was a sale related email, and the subject line was an emoji, and then I put the website address, and then I put in caps, offer ends tomorrow. The preview text was, reminder, have you grabbed your 50% discount? And then the next email, number 8, was an event type email with an emoji at the start, and then it says Facebook live event - papercraft kits. The preview text was join the Turtle Journal's next live event. So one of those was a sale email about, an offer ending tomorrow. So it was an urgency one. And then, saying, reminder, have you heard about our discount? Have you got it yet? And then another one was basically inviting followers and customers to join my next Facebook live event and pre-purchase their kit ready for the live event. So there's a couple of different ones there. So we've had a social one, there was a sale one and an event one. Another one here, my number 9 is actually another social or blog post email. This one was an emoji at the start, and then I've got the website address, and then it says crafting with local treasures. This again was a link to a social media post. I did a very small video, as in small, like 30 seconds, when I was out and about one Saturday morning visiting a couple of secondhand stores, and I just put that on social media. And again, I had lots of comments on it and lots of interaction over a couple of months. So I did the same thing as I did with example 6, and I turned it into an email, and I just linked to the social media post. And again, This was one of my top 10 in revenue. So remember, these examples are not just they did well on social media, got lots of followers, lots of likes, like lots of comments, all that fluffy stuff that we can tend to get caught up into thinking is really great. These were driving actual sales and actual dollars. So these were making actual money, these emails. They weren't just, boosting my social media followers and things like that. All of these examples, these top 10 were emails I sent that then prompted customers to go and click through to my website and buy stuff. It's just baffling to me. I find it so cool how email marketing is such an untapped, I think it really is, particularly in Australia, that it's so worth your time, and it scales over time, because if you have a list of 100 people, then spending 5 minutes or even an hour on an email is so worth it. But you could spend the same hour on an email, and if your list is 1,000, you've just made exponentially more revenue for spending the same amount of time, which is why I love email, is that it totally grows over time with the same amount of effort and time that you put in. The revenue exponentially grows as your email list grows. So that was my number 9 example. It was another social or blog post. It was a very small, like I said, 30-second video I did on my phone when I was out and about that got some great traction on social media. So I just turned it into an email, and it's now featured in one of my top 10 ever. And my last one, number 10, was another sale email. And it started off with an emoji, and then I put the website address, and it just says half price, all in caps. The preview text underneath said clearance set of stickers. So it had some stickers that I was putting on clearance. So that was my number 10 email. It was just a half price, straight out salesy email with an obvious preview text of what the sale was. Clearance set of stickers. So there you go. That's my top 10. Like I said, I was really interested and mostly important, encouraged, I hope you are too, that these were very straightforward, to the point, obvious email subject lines. It wasn't anything ambiguous or tricky. I wanted customers to see it was from me, and then know if they want to click on it or not, and know what they're going to get on the other side. So don't have to spend too much time bending over backwards trying to create fancy email subject headings. When I've found for myself over 220 emails that I've sent, my top 10 were just very straightforward, obvious email headings. It's great. I find it really encouraging for my email strategy for 2023 to be able to lean on this data now of how it's gone the last 2 years. So I would encourage you to do the same. If you've been sending emails regularly, not even regularly, if you've just been sending emails, go back and have a look through them, particularly if you have software that gives you the revenue. Well, absolutely, if you have the revenue. I feel like if you haven't got an email software without the revenue breakdown, you should need to switch. It's so worth it to be able to see the revenue. It validates the effort you're putting in, and also it gives you other cool data about the dates and times you send emails, how many to send, and then you can segment customers and find your most profitable segment. It's just, the list goes on and on, the things you can do. But at a high level, at least be encouraged that sensible, to the point email subject headings do really well, and sending lots of them does really well. So don't worry about spamming your customers. So like I said, I sent 220 in 2 years between 2 websites. And these top 10 here are mostly straightforward, and a lot of them are related to sales or products. So they're salesy emails. They're not even just fluffy emails. A lot of them were direct sales emails. So my observations from these top 10 I'd like to share. Off the top is that data is subjective. So you need to be, like I said, careful with the data you pull from this, but then the conclusions that you make from this data, that you're keeping it in some sort of context. Like I said, I could make the conclusion that my top emails all had preview text available on them, because 9 out of my top 10 did. But at the same time, I usually do preview text anyway, so I haven't done a proper A/B test. So I wouldn't draw that conclusion from these results. You can make data probably say anything you really want it to. So try and look at the whole picture. Look at the size of your list at the time you sent the email, the time of the year you sent it, is it Black Friday, and the quality of your list. Are these purchases on your list? Are they random contacts that you bought? Did you buy an email list from somewhere? In which case they're just random people. All of that matters as to how you can evaluate the data that you get from your emails. In addition, another observation I would make is that most of my best performing subject email lines came in the second half of 2022, not the first half. And I think that's down to consistency for me and believing that it was actually worth the effort. I think having looked at this last year, earlier in the year, and realizing that I had actually made more from email than I thought, and validating the whole concept in general to myself, then I sort of plowed a little heavier into it in the last half of last year, in which case that makes sense. Then I saw better results improve as the year went on because I became more deliberate and consistent just with email marketing in general. Another observation was my highest performing of the year, which was over $600 in revenue for a single email, remember, was actually a duplicate of the original email. So my example I gave of example 3 and 4, which was, let me quickly check, I think Black Friday. Yep. My Black Friday early access email, and then another example I gave was Black Friday early access again. One of those was a duplicate of the other. So what does that mean? That means I created a Black Friday email, Black Friday early access, and I scheduled it, to send, say, Friday night at 7 p.m. Then I just simply went back to the campaign and duplicated it, and I just set a different send time. So I made it 36 hours later. So instead of sending the email on Friday night at 7 p.m, I would have scheduled it for Friday night, 7 p.m, Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I think I got that right, which is basically just sending it at a different time of day. I do 36 hours because I want it to be AM versus PM or PM versus AM, not just a straight 24 hours later, but a different time of the day. So my top performing email was actually the second email I sent. That is seriously key, like gold. That is so worth taking note of and like drilling it into your brain and trying to remember this, that my best performing email that I have ever sent out of 220 emails was a duplicate, in other words, a straight copy of an email I had sent to the same people 36 hours earlier. It just blows my mind. It's so worth sending a reminder and a follow-up to every email. I've been doing that now to every email I send. I duplicate it. I usually change the subject line just to make it sound different, or maybe a new hook that will capture the attention of a different group of people that see it. But in any case, it's the same email 36 hours after the first one was sent. Like, how crazy is that? It's so worth doing. If you don't do that at the moment, you're worried you're spamming people. I'm going to tell you certainly not, because that was my top performing email ever, was just the straight duplicate of one I had sent 36 hours previous. It's crazy, isn't it? I just find that so mind-blowing, and why I think data is so critical to growing a business and this whole process of e-commerce is you've got to go look, because we often imagine something is happening and we have no idea till we actually check it out. And then when you look at it, it can be really insightful. And you think, oh my goodness, I had no idea that sending a second email actually got me more results. In fact, I'll give you another example. From the top 10 I read out, there was another email. Which one was it? It was my sale email. Number 7 example was a little emoji and then the website, and then the text was offer ends tomorrow. The preview text was reminder, have you grabbed your 50% discount? That was my example number 7. That was also a duplicate email. Because I was running a sale of 50% discount on one product, this was my last email of that sale. Do you know, it was like the offer ends tomorrow type email. So it was a serious, time sensitive offer that was ending tomorrow. That was one of my top emails ever as well, was that one that said that there was 50% discount. Have you got your discount yet? Was again a duplicate, because I had sent previous emails telling people that this offer even existed. And then this one was my final one saying, this sale is going to end tomorrow. Have you grabbed your thing? How cool is that? So that also featured in my top 10. It was a duplicate email. In addition, I want to tell you something else really fascinating about that particular email. I even told all the girls at work about it and they were floored too. That email with a 50% off discount. This cracks me up. I sent 3 emails during this sale period, and this one here that featured in my top 10 was the third. That product that was on sale 50% off, no one purchased it. Not a single person. But each of those emails drove revenue. So I sent 3 and they all got revenue. And the third one actually got the most. That's why it's featured in my top 10. So I'd sent 2 previously that also had revenue attached. But the third email with the offer ending tomorrow brought in the most revenue. But no one bought the product. Everybody else went and shopped other stuff. It just makes me laugh. You just always imagine something's going to happen, but until you do it and test it and see, you never actually know. So no one bought that product. I've since discontinued it because if no one's going to buy it at 50% off, I don't think anyone's ever going to buy it. But in any case, the 3 emails I sent pushing people to that one product that was 50% off made them decide, actually while I'm here, or I've been thinking about buying, or that's right, I had thought about getting this, or oh wow, check it out, she's got new stickers. People went and shopped other things. So there you go. It's just so interesting. And I think really just reiterates that email is about a touch point. It's about getting back in front of your customers often with something, with a blog post, with a sale, with a new product, with an inventory update, with something just to let them know that you are still around and that you're there. And it just keeps you top of mind for them, so that when it is suitable or convenient for them to shop, they'll go do so. And they may not shop whatever you've got on sale either. So maybe put something on sale. I want to do this more often now. I'm saying this out loud to you, is that maybe I should find another product on my website that does terribly, just half price it for the sake of half pricing it, and push people to it over a few emails and do a little mini sale. If people buy it, great, but it looks like I may get some sales anyway, just of other things. So I'm going to add that to my list of things to do now. I've said that out loud. That's probably worth doing. And maybe you should totally try it too. I reckon it's totally worth doing as well. Let me know how you go if you'd give that a whirl. That'd be really interesting. Another observation I have just about this audit in general and what I found is that no matter how you feel about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I know particularly for us Aussies, it can be a real bitter pill to swallow. It's such an American thing, but there's no denying that it has grown in the last few years massively. Is that I think it's so worth doing, even if you don't shop yourself on Black Friday or you hate the concept. It's so worth doing something. It doesn't have to be a huge sale. Don't clearance your whole range because you think you have to be the cheapest to succeed at this. It's absolutely not the case. If you listen to my previous episode, I encourage you to check it out 100%. It's called Update Christmas Inventory Disaster. It's episode 28, so it's a couple of episodes ago now. And I talk in there about why I decided to do a Black Friday sale when I had actually planned not to. I decided I wasn't going to do one last year, but then on a bit of a last minute, rethink and pivoting and changing my strategy, I did do a Black Friday sale. And 2 of my top performing emails now are directly linked to having done that. So you don't need to have a giftable product either, I don't believe, to get the benefit of a Black Friday sale. And I'll tell you why. Because I used factory second stock. So if you go and listen to episode 28, you will discover that the item I used for Black Friday, my product, was actually a factory second. So it was not perfect stock, and I just wanted to clear it. So it was like a clearance item that I thought was a good time of year to try and claw back some cash for it. And it did really well. I got rid of it. So I got rid of nearly all of it. I think I've got a little bit left, but that's cool. But 2 of my best performing emails, and one of them over $600 worth of revenue was tied to that one email, was purely pushing this factory second stock. So however you feel about Black Friday in general, I'll just encourage you that people are out there looking for places to spend their money. The time of year everybody is searching for gifts for Christmas to give their family and friends. They have money to spend and they want to know where to spend it, which which is why I think email is just a great way of getting yourself back in front of your customers at a critical time of year when they want to be spending. So it also saves, I think, as well, the black hole of Google. Do you know, sometimes you can be a bit tempted to go onto Google and search, gift guides for husbands or gift guides for teenagers. But you often get the same results every year. They just rehash blog posts every year with the same predictable products. There's nothing, unique or particularly amazing, I don't think. When you search things like that on Google, gift ideas and stuff like that, it's a nightmare. But if you go to your emails, this is how I find I shop anyway. I've often looking through my emails to see what brand I follow, what they're up to, what they've got on sale, or what they're offering as new, or something bundled, because I know I already like them. I've given them my email address for a reason, and your customers have given you their email address for a reason. They already have an affinity with you in some form, whether it's that they've purchased with you yet or not. Either way, you're in their inbox. So at a time of year when they are looking for things to buy, I have found myself going to my emails and sifting through newsletters, because it cuts out all the noise of Google and all the places that could be online selling things, and narrows the search down for me. It's way more efficient to be able to find potential gifts through my email and the places I've subscribed to. That is totally why I think it's worth doing something at Black Friday, for sure, if you haven't before. And if you do, continue to do so, absolutely. It's like a no-brainer, I think, that time of year doing something, just getting your brand back in front of your customers with some sort of offer that doesn't have to be drastically reduced and, that's going to cost you money and you'll make a loss. It could be just a bundled together product. That's a whole different topic about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But suffice it to say, 2 of my best performing emails ever, revenue wise, and my top performing, were directly linked to keeping my customers up to date with Black Friday, Cyber Monday. My last observation I'll make from this little audit is that most of the emails I sent that did really well were product related. So like I said before, don't be concerned about spamming your customers or your followers if you do worry about that, because they follow you for a reason. They've subscribed for a reason. So you're not spamming them, you're not pestering them. It's just an email. We get so many of them, it's honestly no big deal. They're not thinking that much about it. Is that be more salesy maybe than you are. So if you're not sending salesy emails at the moment at all, then start doing so, because lots of mine that did really well were directly salesy, as in launching a new product, something on sale, or an inventory update of something back in stock. And then if you see people unsubscribe from you, so I wish I hadn't done this now. Early last year, I looked at people who'd unsubscribed. I was just curious. I'd actually wish now I hadn't done it, because I found somebody's name in my unsubscribe list, which means they were now suppressed, who was a previous customer of mine, but they always interacted on social media with my brand. They were very encouraging. They always commented on things. I recognized their name because they were very active on Facebook and Instagram with my brand. So it surprised me to see they had unsubscribed early last year, and I was really deflated after that. I felt terrible, and I stopped sending emails as regularly for a little while, and I wasn't sending them heaps regularly anyway, but it made me second guess it. And I even went into some of my email flows and adjusted the frequency of them and the time frame to stretch them out over longer. I took it way too personally. And it's just, don't do it. I wish I hadn't checked, because then a few months later, I was curious to see where they were at, and they had resubscribed. So they had jumped back on my email list, and they had still interacted with social media in the meantime. So people unsubscribe and resubscribe for various reasons. Who knows? They're cleaning out their emails. They're just on a bit of a cleaning out crusade, which I do sometimes, and just unsubscribe from everything. And then after a little while, decide the things they really want to say subscribe to. There's so many reasons why I wouldn't make huge conclusions from who has unsubscribed from you, or even the unsubscribe rate. The point is, you want people on your list who are worth being on your list because they want to be there. So if they unsubscribe, that's fine, because you've got new people who will subscribe, particularly if you have a pop-up on your website or you're actively collecting email addresses and encouraging your customers to sign up and your followers on social media and stuff like that. Or in person, if you sell in person at craft events, you're actively trying to get people to sign up to your email list by getting them to fill out a form or something like that. Maybe you've got a giveaway linked with it. However you grow your list, I would encourage you to continue to do so. And then you're not going to be as worried about people leaving and unsubscribing. But that little story is just an illustration of someone who did unsubscribe from me, and I recognized their name because of how active they were on social media. But I wish I'd never actually checked, because then I got into a bit of a tailspin after that and started questioning why I even send emails, and am I pestering people too much? And I just shouldn't have looked. And then since then I've got moved on, moved on from that, and then started getting way more consistent with emails. And then when I went to look to see where that person was up to months later, they had actually jumped back on my email list. So, that was all a bit of a chasing my tail for no reason, just because I got really insecure about it. So in summary, from all of these 10 email subject lines, I hope they've given you some ideas, maybe given you just a bit of encouragement that this is really not rocket science after all, and you can be pretty direct and salesy, and it's just important to be doing it and getting in front of your customers often, because all of these are different touch points that move customers along to a purchase for the first time or a repeat purchase, which I have an episode about. I'd so encourage you to listen to. It's episode 19 called How Soon Can I Expect a Sale? And also episode 22 about how to spend $5 per day on Facebook advertising, which is a strategy for being able to grow your email list as well, by collecting emails, by sending traffic to your website through paid traffic, just $5 a day. It's an absolute beginner and entry level foundational campaign to set up that then gives you the opportunity to grow this email list that you'll then be wanting to contact every week, at least twice a week, even better, but for sure every week. And then you can go back in some time and do a bit of an audit for yourself and see how your emails have gone, and have you got revenue from some of them, and how much, what your click-through rate might have been, what's the other metric I've got open here? Your average open rate, your average click rate, your placed order rate, and your revenue per recipient. That's in Klaviyo. I'd really encourage you to have Klaviyo if you don't, as an email software. It's amazing. But if not, there's plenty of other ones out there. Just look for something that has some sort of e-commerce integration that gives you a proper revenue breakdown, and it links with your Shopify website, so that data is pulled through. This is just reinforcing your brand. It's another way to keep your brand top of mind for your customers in a very easy, convenient way for them, because you're just landing in their email. So you come right to them. It's not hard. You've already acquired that customer through maybe advertising or in-person events. You're just now keeping in touch with them and reminding them that you even exist. And in addition, in summary, I'll say my examples above I gave you. How funny is that a lot of them were duplicates of previous emails that did my best. So it wasn't the first email that somebody got about Black Friday or about a sale, which then you might think, okay, I've sent an email about the sale, that's enough now. But it was actually my follow-up email, the second or the third email that I sent 36 hours later, or a further 36 hours later, that actually was the reminder for people to purchase. It was like, oh, that's right, she has a sale, I'd forgotten. And then they go through and place an order. And in summary, which just it makes me laugh, it's so crazy, is that my third email from a sale, like I said, I'd set up a 50% off sale. The 50% off sale where the item, nobody purchased the sale item, not one person, but the third email in that sequence about this sale even existing got me over $260. And that's why it's featured in my top 10. So like I said, it's important to be able to have a platform to track all this stuff. I think overall, I didn't add up the revenue total from all these emails, but just based off of sort of the average of most of them, I think all of them together was probably $2,500 in revenue just from my top 10 emails I've sent. So I'll put together a download for you. You can get it free on my website. I'll have these exact email subject lines for you so you can see them. There's nothing crazy amazing about them, just that you'll be able to see what they are. There's a good mix in there too, obviously, but a lot of them were salesy, which is great because that's what we're looking for in e-commerce. That's our gig. Like, hey, we need to be making sales. And then you'll be able to see when I use upper and lowercase, the punctuation emojis, stuff like that. So I encourage you to head to my website, www.aussieecommercemum.com.au. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a little section there with podcast resources, and I'll put the PDF there so you can check it out. And that'd also encourage you to go back and listen to my other episodes about email, about how to soon to expect a sale, about my $5 per day Facebook strategy, and my main one, which I shared at the start. What was it? Episode 13. Where I did a different sort of audit and kind of gave a bit of a summary of how much money my automated email flows have contributed to my revenue. So remember, this example is specific campaigns I've set up and sent, whereas episode 13 talks all about the automated email flows, which is even better. You set them up and you leave them to run, and the money comes in, the revenue is generated automatically. So thanks for joining me. I hope this has been a bit of encouragement for you in sharing some real-time challenges and wins in my diary style podcast. So head to my website. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you sent emails and how often and what results you see, and if it's validated the whole concept for you and your business. It'd be really cool at audit.com.au. And I'll see you next time. Keep learning.